Hello, Mark.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thanks.
That's great, good. Should we begin?
Yep, ready to start whenever you're ready.
Cool. Hello, everyone. Fully welcome to another PlatON Air Live Studio. I'm Tia from PlatON World, and I am the host of this session. We have 3 parts of today's session: a live demo, community questions, and a lucky draw by the end. Everyone, you can scan it and sign. You can scan. Can you see the QR above my hand? You can scan it and sign up for the lucky draw. Today, we are very glad to have Itheum to be a guest come to our live studio. Itheum is a privacy preserving data trade platform which works in decentralized data management. By the way, Itheum is one of the winners of the PlatON Hackathon on October. Congratulations and great job.
Thank you.
Now I want to give the mic to Mark Paul. Mark is the founder of the Itheum. Hello, Mike. How's it going?
It's going well, Tia. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, sure. And could you please do a brief self-introduction to our communities?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us once again. This is, I think, the 2nd or 3rd time that we are presenting to the PlatON community. So nice to meet you all virtually, and I'm looking forward to showing you our progress and also to share some updates.
Thank you, and welcome. And could you please give us a live demo on Itheum that is convenient for our communities to understand?
Sure, I can do that. So let me share my screen.
Sure.
And please tell me if you can see the screen.
Yes, we can see and very clear.
Okay. Okay, everybody. So I'll start with a quick introduction as to what you're going to see. Then I'll give you a demo. And then we can have a Q&A after that. All right, so Itheum, if you go to our website, is the way we explain it is that it's the data platform for the metaverse. But what that basically means is that we are the world's first decentralized data brokerage platform. So we enable the peer-to-peer trade of data and also privacy preserving enabled trade of data. So we have a couple of features. One of the features that I'm going to demo today is called Data Dex. Now, a Data Dex is a Web3 platform, cross-chain data sharing platform, and it's deployed on multiple chains, and we're also deployed onto the PlatON testnet as well. The reason we are using it on the PlatON testnet or the PlatON blockchain is to specifically enable privacy-preserving data sharing through a feature that we call the Trusted Computation Framework. Now, to understand why you need such a privacy-preserving layer for sharing data, we'll just look at this screen up here. So in this slide, you can see that's you. In the current world, you're using all of these websites and apps. Most of these apps are built by some big companies, right? But in Itheum, we have a concept of a data collection and analytics toolkit, where anybody can build apps that can collect your data. But the difference between us and what's available in the market is in the apps that are built on Itheum, you own your data. And you get to decide who uses it, you get to decide how you want to trade it. So in this example here, you can join these apps that are built on the Itheum's toolkit. And then you can align with what we have called the Data Coalition DAO. So these are DAOs which buy your data from you and then bulk sell it to to people who want to buy it. So if you look at the right side of the screen, you have all of these people who are interested in buying your data. They could be researchers, people building AI models, and they want to be able to effectively run algorithms on your data. Some of them don't want your data, they just want access to your data. So they want the data to come into a secure area, and then they want to run their algorithms on it. And so before we discovered PlatON, we were actually building the trusted computation framework ourselves. But since we discovered PlatON and we won the hackathon, we decided to use the PlatON engine for this. Now, how does it all work? Okay, so if you look at this example here, one of the apps that we have on the Ethereum platform is called the Red Heart Challenge. And this collects cardiovascular health data. And anybody in the world can join it. It's free of charge. So if you join this app and your data is collected into the data DEX, you can then join a data coalition DAO that we have set up. And this DAO will buy your data from you. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to integrate with PlatON's data nodes and compute nodes. And then we're going to publish this data using privacy preserving mechanisms or schemes. And then we're going to allow for people who are interested in buying this data or running algorithms on this data to then get access to it. So we're still in the early stages, but we have actually completed the first milestone, which is we've got the Ethereum data DEX running on PlatON. And now we're beginning the second milestone, which is we've just had a meeting with the PlatON core team last week. And we have started looking at how to run our own data nodes and then to start sharing the data with the data nodes. And thereafter, advertising these jobs into the compute nodes so that we can bring these algorithms and run it on the privacy preserving layer. So with that, and now that you understand how it works, just one more thing I'll show you. So if you're wondering what kind of data we're gonna be using to trade or to run these algorithms on, so this is actually the data that's collected through the Red Heart Challenge. So as you notice, it's really rich analytics, really sort of advanced data. It's called longitudinal data, so it's collected a data point over a long period of time, and then we have an analytics engine that's run and derives some analytics on it. Now, this is very valuable data in the health industry specifically, and it's used in industries like insurance, drug discovery, and all of that. But the problem here is all of this valuable data has your personal identity attached to it. And most people who want to run algorithms on it, they don't want to touch your identity. They just want access to your data, and they probably want some demographic information. This is where Itheum and PlatON is going to come into play. So this is the data. And with that, I'm going to jump in and give you a live demo. Okay, so if you go into this URL here, so datadex.etheum.com, you will notice that it is our Web3 data DEX platform. We have a bunch of supported chains, and one of the chains it's PlatON here. So to use it, so you can use this, you're free to use this now. You'll need to set up MetaMask on your computer, and you've got to connect to the PlatON testnet. If you want to know how to do that, just reach out to us on our Telegram or with the PlatON team, and we're happy to share it with you. So let's say you're logged into MetaMask, connected to the PlatON testnet. Make sure you get some LAT from the faucet. So we can see here we have an account with 49 LAT in it. So we're going to log in via decentralized ID. So here it's going to sign the transaction, and it logs you in. So what's happened here is I've logged in with a wallet. So I don't have to put in username, password, nothing like that. Log in with your wallet. On the top here, it sees that the connection to the testnet is active. And you can see the amount of MIDA you have. MIDA is Ethereum's utility token. And we have a faucet that gives you free MIDA on the testnet. So you can just quickly run it up here. So what I'm doing now here is I'm requesting for test MIDA. And you need MIDA for trading of data, staking. You can even farm, and you can have you can even use it for governance. So in this example here, I've requested some MIDA. It's reaching consensus of the PlatON blockchain. You can always click on that link and you can see what exactly is happening on the on-chain events. And you notice I've got 50 free MIDA here. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm simulating linking it to a core Ethereum app. So notice here, I've linked it to the Red Hat Challenge app and a few other apps. So let's go in here and sell some data on the blockchain. So clicking up here, you'll notice that you can see all these apps, and I'm going to select Red Hat Challenge because that's the data that I showed you. And there's two ways you can sell it. So it automatically pulls in all of your data that's linked to the app, and it shows you a preview of your data. It actually summarizes the data points and even tells you from what date it was collected. And then it lets you decide the terms of use. You can say, I only want this for research or commercial, or I'm going to give it a fully open license. And it's also kind of valued your data, and it said, okay, listen, you can earn about 2 MIDA for this. And what we're going to do is we're going to place it for sale on the blockchain. So this process is called advertising for sale. So notice that it requires you to sign a transaction here. And what's happening here is that it's storing your data in a decentralized location, and it's storing the tamper-proof signature on-chain, on the PlatON blockchain, right? And the reason we do this is so that at any time you can verify that this data has never been tampered with, which is a very useful thing if you're building a machine learning model. You can guarantee that the data is authentic, and the model, therefore, the outcome of the model could be guaranteed to be authentic as well. So I've actually published my data for sales. If I go into advertise data, you can see that I've advertised my data. And let's now see what happens if you want to buy data. So if I go into buy data, I can see somebody else who has advertised data. So I can see that it's going to cost me 2 MIDA. So let me buy that from that person. So what's happening here? So first thing, when you're buying data, and keep in mind, this is peer-to-peer, I'm buying directly from that person. It's verifying the integrity, making sure that the data has not been tampered with, as well as the data is originating from the right provenance or the owner. And now it's authorizing the purchase, and it's transferring MIDA tokens from my account to that person's, to the seller's account. So I've authorized it, and now I'm going to complete the transfer. And as you can see, everything can be traced on chain, and it's even waiting for confirmations before proceeding to the next event. So purchase is happening right now. And what's happened now is I've purchased the right to use the data. So if I go into purchase data, I can see I purchased it here, and I can actually now look at the data up here, and I can trace its hash, and I can do all of these things, and I have full visibility of everything that's happening. So I'll show you one more feature that we're working on right now. So, okay, so if you look at this, you can also choose to sell your data as an NFT. So if I click on NFT here, and I can set the price of the NFT, and then I can pick what kind of generative art wrapper that I want. So we've built our generative art wrapper. So it's going to take your data, create a unique signature, and generate art around your data. So if you look at this here, I'm going to now mint an NFT. So you'll notice that it's minting a unique character. And it's going to advertise the NFT for sale on the PlatON blockchain. So if I go up here, you'll see it's minting the new NFT on the PlatON blockchain. And the transaction is going through now. It's reaching consensus with all the nodes. And perfect. So if I click on this here, we should be, would be most likely be able to see this. Let's have a look. Okay, you can even see that the Explorer has identified that it's a NFT, and it's even showing you a preview of the NFT from the metadata file. So everything is on-chain and provable on-chain. Okay, so where are we heading now? So now we have created the peer-to-peer marketplace, so you can trade data with anybody. So the next step is what I was talking about, is the data coalitions. So once you start using information, the Ethereum data decks, and you can link your data to a coalition, we are going to start working on the trusted computation framework. So at the moment, this is still under development, but I'll give you an idea of where this is heading. So if I jump to the PlatON white paper. So PlatON, they're currently working on Metis, which is their privacy preserving computation network. Think of that as an OS or an operating system. And effectively where Ethereum comes into play here is we come in as a data market. So we are an integration into the data market. And the way we are integrating is via running the data node client software on our own internal nodes. So it's the data is actually the data nodes are within our network, and therefore we can secure it. And then we're going to move the data from whatever we saw into the data node. It then telecasts that into the Metis ecosystem, and then the computing nodes could be used to run the algorithms on it. So we're aiming initially just to get the data nodes up and running, and then start interacting with the computing nodes. But what kind of encryption are we trying to use, right? So most of the data that we're going to send into this network would most likely be encrypted. So we are working on a per user encryption scheme. So every data set's encrypted either per the user or through a key pool that's owned by a data coalition DAO. So we have to look at things like homomorphic encryption, because what we want to do is run the operations on the encrypted data. But we're potentially also looking at use cases for ZKP, zero knowledge proofs, to be able to prove certain smaller components of statements against the data. So that's our plan. We're working with the PlatON team to get that happening. I encourage you guys to just keep following our progress, start testing the data decks with your own wallets. You're interacting with the PlatON ecosystem. Every time you test it, you're effectively testing Ethereum as well as PlatON. So that's really great for both of us. And yeah, keep a check on our next steps. So if you look at our next steps, we've actually documented next steps in this link here. It's detailing what we're doing next. So this basically tells you what we've done to date, and also what are our next steps and how you can test it, and you can do all of these things with it. Okay, so that was the live demo. I'm happy to hand it back now, and you can also take some questions.
Thank you, Mark. And it's wonderful speech, and thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
And everyone pay attention here. Scan the QR to sign up for the lucky draw if you do not yet. We will close the access in 5 minutes. Okay, everyone just scan the QR here. Okay, let's move on. Now we are going forward to the Q&A part. I got some questions selected from our communities. Mark, could you please give a short answer to each of them?
Sure.
Cool. The first one is, will Ethereum's future market be geared towards 2B or 2C? And how will the value of the project be obtained for the average user? And does Ethereum have your own token? And what's the value of this token?
Yes, that's a good question. So Ethereum is the only platform that is targeting B2B, B2C, and peer-to-peer. So we have the Ethereum Data Toolkit, which can be used by enterprise, small to medium businesses, commercials to build data collection apps. But once the data is collected, like I mentioned, the data belongs to you. And then you can trade it peer-to-peer. So Ethereum effectively is the only platform you need to do all of these things. And yes, Ethereum has its own utility token called MIDA, which stands for My Data. And what it's useful for is you can use it to facilitate trade within the data decks. It's going to be the governance token, so you can participate in the roadmap of Ethereum and where you want it to go. And you can also use it for staking. So you don't even have to sell data. You can purchase some MIDA tokens, enter the data decks, have a look at the data coalitions. And if you see a coalition that you're quite interested in, or you trust, or you want to stake against, you stake against it. This is very similar to staking in delegated proof of stake, where you look at the network operator or the node operator, the staking, and then you could stake against them. And what you're saying is I support them in their mission, and in return, I earn a commission for the sale of the data.
Thank you, Mark. And then the second question is, as we know that Itheum enables privacy-preserving computing through the trusted computer framework. What is trusted computing, and what can it bring to privacy computing?
Yeah, so trusted computation and privacy-preserving computation are just interchangeable words. So what do they mean is basically somebody wants your data. So if you have some data, and let's say I'm the buyer, I want your data, I want to run some algorithms on it, but I don't want to take all your identity, because all I really maybe need to know is what's your age group, maybe you're between 30 and 40, what's your gender, what's your ethnicity, but I don't want to know your address, I don't want to know your date of birth. So these are really sensitive information. So for you to have for me to run those algorithms, I need a sandbox which doesn't leak your identity. That's effectively what privacy preserving and trusted computation is. And this is not just useful for small use cases, but enterprise to enterprise data sharing is one of the biggest use cases, because an enterprise might have terabytes worth of data linked to some identity. They want to share it with another enterprise, but they don't want to leak their identity. So they bring it to a trusted computation, privacy preserving sandbox, similar to what PlatON is, and lets people run algorithms. And that's kind of what it is in a nutshell.
Thank you, Mark. And does Itheum's data collection require users to install your plugin? I read the introduction of your project before. User data is uploaded in clear text, which will lead to the linkage of user data. How do you consider this issue?
No, that's an excellent question. I think that's so the person who asked this, I think, really understands data. So firstly, yes, we don't have a plugin, so we can build one. Like if you notice, we have an app, a toolkit to build apps on, so we can just build a plugin as an app, but that's just a mechanism to bring in data. So the second part of your question is what happens when people are uploading data, either via a plugin or our toolkit or an app or even the data decks, does it leak? And yes, that's a great question. And that's one of the biggest challenges everybody has. So the current Ethereum data decks that you notice, as soon as you upload the data, it's encrypted at rest. And then as soon as you place it for sale, it gets stored in decentralized storage, right? IPFS. Now, this could be a problem. If you think about IPFS, and if you're in a country like, you're in the European Union, for example, where there's GDPR, you can't use IPFS. So Ethereum has a concept, or we're working on this thing called the regional decentralization hubs. So what that means is we can decentralize within a region. So that's how we try to work with regulation. But in terms of leakage, right, the moment you upload or the entry of the data, you have to make sure it's encrypted. Now, what keys are you using to encrypt it? If you're going to use some centralized keys, then it's no longer a decentralized platform. So Ethereum's ultimate goal is to encrypt with your public key. And that way it's per user encryption. So even if the data is leaked or stored anywhere, it means nothing unless you unlock it. The problem with this, again, is user experience. If you have to encrypt with your key, then you're the only one who can decrypt it. So if somebody's trying to buy it from you, you need to explicitly go into the data decks and approve the buying, which we don't want to do. What we want to do is you set and forget. You connect to the data decks, you join a coalition, and the coalition just sells your data. So most likely where we're going to end up is a concept we're called decentralized key pools. And these are key pools that the ownership is randomized, very similar to how delegated proof of stake, random node operating works, and also proof of authority. So these key pools are responsible to make sure no leakage happens. but also to improve the UX. So I think overall our goals are to ensure that they have the best possible UX to you, the end user, and also ensure it's the most secure platform.
Thank you, Mark. And here is the last question, but I think you mentioned at the beginning of your demo, but please explain it again. Why did Ethereum choose to use PlatON, and what makes it unique? What projects have Ethereum cooperated with besides PlatON?
Yeah, so Itheum, so we've, in terms of, because we are cross-chain data DEX, so we are currently on 5 blockchains at the moment: Ethereum, Polygon, BSC, PlatON, Parastate, and also going into Avalanche. And we're even going to go into non-EVM blockchains as well, like Hedera. So the reason we are looking at PlatON, so I think when we first started designing the trusted computation framework, we were going to build it ourselves. Now, Ethereum is, as you notice, it's quite a large project. So we don't want to try to do every single thing because that's just going to take us too long. So we are going to focus on building the core infrastructure for data trade, and then work with partners like PlatON, people who are specializing in certain things. That's the approach we prefer to do. But the only condition on our side is that the people we partner with have to be fully open source. So we will only partner with people who are open source, so PlatON's one of them. The reason we are going with PlatON is because they're so focused on solving that privacy preserving problem. That is a really complex problem to solve because it's so complicated. But yeah, so that's exactly why we are intending to work with PlatON.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Mark, again. And I'm happy to meet you here. And thank you. You detailed the great job, great project to PlatON communities. Thank you. And you are free to offline. We'll catch up later. Bye, Mark.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Bye. Okay, if you guys have more information like to know, please follow the Telegram and the Twitter of Ethereum. Okay, here is the last part, our lucky draw. We are closing the access in 1 minute. Come on, guys, just scan the QR for the sign up for the lucky draw. Okay, here is our screen. Everybody can see. Okay, we got over 60 users to sign up for the lucky draw. 5. Okay. Here we go. Three, two, one, stop. Okay, congratulations. There are 2 users to win our draw's prize. It's sorry, it's not clear to see the users. Okay, next one. We'll collect another 3. Here we go. Here we go. Stop. Okay, congratulations. There are 3 users to win our prize. Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. And we'll see you next time.